Okay, in this video, we want to look at how to use Microsoft Excel to project sales for our business in the next 3 years, for the next 3 years. So let's say that we have a business and we want to project the sales and the revenue for the next 3 years. And how are we going to go about this? So we are going to be assuming some values. One of the things we need to assume is the market growth rate, which we are supposed to find out ourselves. So for instance, in this calculation, we are going to be using 5% per annum for the market growth rate. Then the seasonality, that's 10% increase in sales revenue. So that the sales growth rate is going to be 10%. Then additionally, the marketing expenses, we're going to make it 5%. Then the research and the development expenses, we are going to make that 3%. So in this video, we are only going to be looking at the sales revenue using the market growth and the other one, which is the seasonality or the sales growth rate. In the advanced class, we are going to be covering the remaining parts of the information. So let's kick off. So in my Microsoft Excel worksheet, under this title, so you are going to put a title, sales projection. So that will be your own title. So let me edit this and just change it to sales projection for the next 3 years. That will be better. Sales projection for the year. So we're going to put the year here. So let's assume that this is year 2022. And in that same year 2022, the sales, we are going to have sales growth rates. In the next column, sales growth rate. And the next column, we are going to have the market growth rates. Market growth rates. Then we are going to have the sales revenue. That's the actual amount that we made that year. So that is what we are going to be covering for this tutorial. In the advanced class, we are going to be looking at the expenses, and we are going to be looking at the profits. So let's assume that the first year we are not calculating the sales revenue for the first year. This is 2022. Why are we not doing that? Because I'm not supplying the data for the previous year. So I'm going to, we are starting from the year 2022. So let's take, for instance, if we made 100,000 naira this year. So you want to now project how much am I going to make in 2023, how much am I going to make in 2024, and how much am I going to make in 2025. According to our assumption, we want to assume that after studying the market, you discover that there's always a 10% growth rate, which we are going to type in for each year. So let's assume there's always a 10% growth rate for each year. So let me double click to fill the remaining cells. Then we also notice that there's always a 5% growth rate for the market every year. So I'm going to fill this in by double clicking this black dots at the bottom of the cell here, or drag it down. Now, if you don't want to do that, you can type it manually. So from our formula, our sales revenue equals the previous year's sales multiplied by 1, then plus sales growth rate multiplied by 1, then plus market growth rate. Why are we adding 1? The 1 in the formula represents the base value, that is 100% of the previous year's revenue. That is the 1 that we are adding to it. That's why we are adding 1 to it. So it represents 100% of the previous year's revenue. So adding it to it will make our calculation to be balanced and correct. Now let's move on. Okay, I think we are back there. Now let's now execute our formula. I'll put my equal sign. The sales revenue is what? Previous year's revenue multiply by what? Open bracket 1 plus what? The sales growth rate, close bracket, multiply by open bracket again 1 plus the market growth rate, and then you close bracket. That's the formula, then enter. So that gives us 115,500 naira. So that is the projected sales growth rate for 2023. For 2024, we are going to replicate the same formula. But because we are dealing with relative referencing, meaning that our referencing is on a linear path. So the cells we are referencing are on the same level with the answer box, the box where we are storing the answer. So that is what we mean by relative cell referencing. So you may not need to type the formula again. We just drag down from here. We drag it down, then it duplicates the formula and then it gives us the answer. So for this one, it's giving us 133,402, and this one is giving us 154,079 as the answer. So we can remove the decimal point by going up here to this button and we just click it, decrease decimal, so remove the decimal. Then for these two, you can do the same, decrease decimal to remove the decimal. So we have the approximated rate here. Then we can highlight everything at the same time, add comma to it. You can add comma, you can see now. So this is a better outcome. So to add our naira sign to everything, all you just need to do is to come here where we have number, click on this button down here. So when you click it, it's going to bring this dialog box. Then we select currency. After selecting currency, then you go to symbols. You go and look for Nigeria or Hausa, or so either Nigeria, Hausa, or Fulani. So that is the one that has, or Edo. So this is Edo. Then you will now go down and click on OK. So as soon as you click on OK, the naira sign will be affected at the front of the revenue. So this is how to quickly find out the sales growth rates. Bear in mind that the formula is what we worked on, so you must make sure that your formula is correct, and the projected formula is what? Sales revenue equals to previous year sales multiplied by open bracket 1 plus sales growth rate multiplied by 1 plus market growth rate. This formula works anytime, anywhere. Thank you. See you in our next class.